Breaking news! The atmosphere behind the scenes for the Buffalo Bills is on fire. The excitement is building, and big things could be on the horizon for this team. But before we dive into all the latest updates, make sure you've hit that like button if you believe the Bills have what it takes to make it to the next Super Bowl. Personally, I have no doubts they have the talent, drive, and heart to go all the way. If you're as confident as I am, show your support in the comments. Go Bills! I believe! Let's get excited! Bills Mafia, you are not ready for what I'm about to tell you. No, this isn't fool's joke. And no, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. The Buffalo Bills just pulled off one of the biggest offseason heists in recent memory. I'm talking about pure, unfiltered, front office genius from Brandon Beane. It's like watching a masterclass in team building unfold right before our eyes. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. How exactly did the Bills get away with highway robbery? Buckle up, because what I'm about to break down will make you appreciate this offseason on a whole new level. First, let's talk about free agency, because this is where the magic started. The Bills came into the offseason knowing one thing: their defense needed a serious boost. Sure, the team went 13-4 last season, but when it came down to crunch time, the defense just wasn't holding up the way it needed to. So what did Brandon Beane do? He went out and made some big moves. Some of these names might sound familiar: Dane Jackson, Khalil Shakir, Terrell Bernard, Greg Rousseau, and of course, Josh Allen, because they were all re-signed or had their deals restructured. But then, Beane got to work bringing in fresh talent, and this is where things get really interesting. Joshua Palmer, coming in from the Chargers on a 3-year, $36 million deal. Michael Hocht, straight from the Rams. Dante Foreman to add some depth at running back. Ty Johnson, Reggie Gilliam. And then, the bombshell move, the one that made every Bills fan sit up in their chair, Joey Bosa. Yes, you heard me right. Joey Bosa is a Buffalo Bill. And get this, they signed him for just $12 million on a 1-year deal. Do you realize how much of a steal this is? We're talking about a guy who, if he stays healthy, is capable of hitting double-digit sacks with ease. Sure, injuries have slowed him down the last few seasons, but for $12 million, that's an absolute bargain. Think about it. When you're building a championship roster, what's one of the most important positions after quarterback? The guy protecting your quarterback, left tackle. And right after that, the guy hunting the other team's quarterback. That's Joey Bosa. He's not Nick Bosa. He's not Myles Garrett. He's not even the same Joey Bosa from 5 years ago. But what he is a game changer if used correctly. And that's what Brandon Beane is betting on. He's giving Bosa a prove-it deal, meaning if he balls out, the Bills have the inside track on locking him down long-term. And if he doesn't, they move on with zero long-term consequences. That, my friends, is what we call a win-win. But wait, there's more. Because the Bills didn't just make splashy free agency signings. They also locked up key pieces that will define this team for years to come. Let's talk about Christian Benford for a second. Benford just signed a 4-year, $76 million deal. Now, at first glance, you might think that's a big number. But here's where it gets wild. Spotrac had his projected value at $93 million. The Bills just got a lockdown corner, one of the most physical young defenders in the game, for $17 million less than what he was projected to make. That's not just a win, it's grand larceny. Now, I know some of you are probably saying, yeah, but he has to stay healthy. And you're absolutely right. That's the one concern with Benford. But when he's on the field, the guy is an absolute menace. 2 forced fumbles, a great number of pass breakups, and the kind of physicality you need in your secondary. If he stays on the field and continues to develop, this contract will look even more like a bargain in 2 years. So, Bills Mafia, I have to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are we feeling about the Christian Benford contract? Personally, I'm giving it a solid 9. Not quite a 10 because of the health concerns, but let's be honest, this deal was a steal. But let's get to the grand finale, the move that cements this offseason as one of the best in franchise history. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Allen is locked in. 6 years, $330 million. Now, let's be real. There was never any doubt that Josh Allen was going to be a Bill for a long, long time. But let's take a second to appreciate what just happened. The Bills are getting Allen for $55 million per year, which, in today's market, is looking like a steal. Do you realize that in a few years, quarterbacks will probably be making $60 to $70 million a year? There are already rumors about Caleb Williams setting the market for future QB contracts, and we're seeing numbers thrown around that are just ridiculous. So locking in Josh Allen now, at a reasonable rate, yes, I just called $55 million a year reasonable, is actually a smart move. And let's talk about what Allen has done. Yes, he turns the ball over. But do you know who else turned the ball over a ton? Brett Favre. And last time I checked, Favre is in the Hall of Fame. The difference? Allen is bigger, stronger, faster, and honestly, just better. He's on track to be a top 5 quarterback of all time. You heard me. Of all time. If he brings a Super Bowl to Buffalo, forget about Jim Kelly. Josh Allen will be the greatest Buffalo Bill ever. Period. No debate. And that's why this offseason was pure, calculated robbery by Brandon Beane and this front office. The Bills got better on defense. They locked in key pieces for the future, and they made sure their franchise quarterback will be wearing that Buffalo blue for the long haul. So now, I want to hear from you, Bills Mafia. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What's your favorite free agency move so far? Is it Bosa? Palmer? Someone else? How do you feel about the Christian Benford contract? 1 to 10, let's hear it. Where does Josh Allen rank all time for you? Is he already the greatest Bill ever, or does he need that Super Bowl first? Let me know what you think, because I'll be in the comments reading everything. And don't forget, the AFC East sub-battle is on. The Bills are going up against the Patriots, Jets, and Dolphins, and we need every single one of you to hit that subscribe button. Let's show them why Buffalo runs the East. And if you thought we were done talking about this masterclass of an offseason, think again, because there's one more thing we need to discuss, something that could completely reshape the way we look at the Buffalo Bills heading into the 2025 season. Let's talk about what all of these moves actually mean for this team moving forward. Because, Bills Mafia, if you're paying attention, you'll realize that Brandon Beane isn't just making moves to compete this year, he's setting up a multi-year championship window. Think about the pieces in place right now. Josh Allen locked in long-term. A reloaded defense with Joey Bosa, Greg Rousseau, Terrell Bernard, and Christian Benford. A strong offensive core with Khalil Shakir stepping up as WR1 and an improved offensive line. Depth across the board, something that's been missing in previous seasons when injuries hit at the worst possible time. This is not just a team looking to make a deep playoff run. This is a team being built to win a Super Bowl. But let's address the elephant in the room. Because I know some of you are still wondering, did the Bills do enough? Let's be honest, the AFC is still a bloodbath. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, still there. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, if he stays healthy, they'll be dangerous. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, always a problem. Not to mention the up-and-coming teams like the Texans, who are suddenly a real threat with C.J. Stroud. So where does Buffalo stack up? Well, let's look at what really held this team back last season. Because despite all the talent, all the firepower, there was one issue that kept creeping up: consistency. Some weeks, they looked like the best team in football. Other weeks, they struggled to put away teams they should have dominated. And when it mattered most, when they needed that one final push to get over the hump, they just didn't have enough gas left in the tank. That's why these offseason moves are so important. Adding Joey Bosa means the pass rush can finally be a legitimate force again. We've seen what this team looks like when Von Miller is at full strength. But let's be real, he's not the player he was a few years ago. Bringing in Bosa gives the Bills an insurance policy, a player who can take some of that pressure off. Locking up Christian Benford means the secondary